Hi guys, welcome to Autosport International 2017. You're joining me today. We are literally going to having a walk around, see what it is that we can find, see what kind of catches our eye. I remember having driven one of these before at Silverstone. That was great fun. I don't know if it was one of these exact sort of ones, but it was definitely a Formula Ford of sorts. Even though it was absolutely chucking it down with rain, it was one of the better driving experience days I've ever done. Definitely worth a check out. If you follow me over this way, we'll see what it is that we can find over here. New livery on the new Bentley Continental GT3 car. One of the contenders for the title for this year. Very nice car indeed. Let's have a wander around, I think, see if we can find anything particularly interesting and cool. We'll have a wander over this way, because I think over this way there are some very nice old classic Lotuses. Little known fact, obviously we've been over to Spa 6 Hour Classic Racing a couple of years in a row. We are both big fans of motorsport in general, particularly the old classics, and I have a bit of a guilty pleasure for the old Lotuses myself, and I would love to try and get up close and personal with some of these classic F1 Lotus cars. It's a shame they haven't done so well in recent history with their latest run in Formula 1, but back in the day they've won 7 World Championships over the years. In fact, yeah, I can see round over this way some of the old cars. There we go. It's nice to see some of these cars without all the barriers as well. Quite often with these kinds of cars you can't get up close and personal with them, but with these you can literally touch inside the cockpit if you really wanted to. Not that you really should, of course.
I don't know what you right, I didn't know you left my colleagues or not. They were at Donington.
Obviously not all of these could all be here, as some of them have had various accidents either on track whilst racing or since. But it's still nice to see these cars in the flesh. And of course it's very interesting to kind of see the heritage with these cars and seeing where they've come from and where they sort of are now. Looking down, I think what you can see, obviously you've got ones towards the front of the camera where you have effectively next to no aerodynamics, no nothing, it's just big fat tyres at the back and a powerful engine and a driver with bigger balls than I've ever had and never will have. Then gradually going more towards having more aerodynamics and stuff along those sorts of lines. But yeah, it's really cool seeing them in the flesh, up close and personal. I think, which will nod at me if I'm wrong, but I think we've seen some of these going around the Spa 6 Hour Classics, whether it was these exact ones or replicas, the same sort of effect. But the fact that you can see all the workings of the car without any covers, because they needed to keep cool. If they didn't have, if they had something covering the back, they'd have just overheated and they wouldn't have lasted the full Grand Prix sort of distance. And obviously these were back in the days where they were sort of experimenting between having aerodynamics or nothing at all. But yeah, you can see here the actual workings of everything all exposed to the elements. Proper open wheel racing. obviously these ones here where they have first experimentations with aerodynamics, where I think this one's actually got 3 little wings to actually kind of give it some form of downforce, and then the skinniest of front wings. If you compare this, we'll try and get up closer to some of the modern day Formula 1 cars, see just how far these things have come. Yeah. So we are hopefully at some point going to be going through into the Williams Experience engineering bit later on today, but whether or not we'll be able to actually have you guys come along for that sort of bit with us or not, it's quite unlikely. I don't think they'll want to have many people with cameras inside there, but we'll have a wander around, because I think over this way there's a Formula E car along with some of the 2016 Formula 1 cars as well. In fact, I can see some of the old Williams F1 cars as well. Obviously, the guys at Autosport have their own program going on today as well. And I think, from memory, they have their own. I think they have the Williams team members here at some point over the weekend. I think, including potentially Valtteri Bottas. Chaps here from Carthage as well. Nice to see them here again. Doesn't have his Mazda with him this time, I don't think. Some of the Porsches here as well. Richard pans to his left. Some of the nice Porsches that are here from the Silverstone Experience Centre. Pay enough money, you can go drive around any of these round the Silverstone Experience area. Very nice cars indeed. I just spotted the Pirelli stand over this way as well, actually, where we can actually show the difference on camera up close, the difference between, Richard, this way, between the 2016 and 2017 tyres. There's a big difference in the size of in the width of the rear tyres this year. It's 25% increase in the width, which is a big difference in the mechanical grip that the drivers actually have on the track this year. They've actually got some simulators over here as well. By those things, Mercedes have got their own simulator. Some very, very, very nice Lotuses as well. Obviously, they've probably all come from the Silverstone area. Proper old school, that. Don't make them like that anymore. Here we go. These are the widths of the tyres for this year versus next year. Obviously, got all the different types of the tyres all through here, but you can see the amount of tread that these tyres have, producing 60 litres of water being sprayed up into the air every second. But there's such a difference in the width. It's kind of hard to gauge it unless you're physically here, but such a big difference. They'll make a big difference to the aerodynamics, and they are hoping to expect a sort of a 4-5 seconds per lap speed increase around the track at almost every venue. But I think it will be sort of more China or Bahrain where we'll start to see a big sort of gauge as to what everything's sort of going to be heading. But these are almost all of the cars for the 2016 calendar. So we've got the Renault, we've got the new Haas team here as well. They've done very well for their first season. So they share a lot of their technologies with Ferrari. They share their wind tunnels, got their engines, stuff like that as well. McLaren here. I think right towards the very front as well, there's the Red Bull towards the front as well, and the Ferrari, of course, is towards the front. There's such a big difference compared to where they used to be a long old time ago. Obviously the Williams team have been in for quite a long time, as has the Ferraris. You look back at where they used to be, even as close as 20 years ago, they didn't have anywhere near this level of sophistication. And Richard's just spotted the new BRZ. Oh, yeah. Yes, we'll have a closer look at the BRZ a little later on, but just look at the level of sophistication that you've got in the championship winning car of today. This is as close as it's going to get to Nico Rosberg's car for this season. Just look at the amount of aerodynamic work there is on just the front wing alone. That level of downforce is more than you used to have for the whole of the cars back in the 1950s, 60s and 70s. But the amount of work and fine detail that they go into now, they do everything within fractions of a millimetre to kind of get a gauge as to what's necessary between winning and losing. Obviously, the heritage will live on. It's a bit of a shame though, obviously the older Formula 1 cars we can still run today because they don't need so much of the technology to kind of keep them all going, but the current era of Formula 1 cars, once the technology goes too far, we'll never be able to use them again, which is a real shame. But hey ho. Ginetta. I would really like to drive one of these, you know, the Ginettas. Obviously, the people through the progression from karting through into the higher up end of motorsport, they tend to go through the Ginettas as a car that they go through the lower formulas. Then they potentially go through to either touring car racing, or they go through to things like the Formula Ford and Formula Japan, stuff along the lines of that. But it's nice to see a lot of the simulators going around today. Quite a lot of them are using project cars, I think, by the looks of things as we've been going around. I think you got it yet. There are some very, very nice cars over this way from memory as well. You've got some of the old historic racing cars over here as well. Again, these are along the same sort of era of the lower down formulas of those Lotus F1 cars from earlier. I think actually they've got one of Michael Schumacher's cars over there as well, the white one in the background. We'll try and get a closer look of that one whilst we're here. But yeah, they do. It's Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher's old vehicle here. Obviously, the tragedy of Michael Schumacher a couple of years back, but not the accident, which we can obviously all respect, of course. Wanting to keep the family to themselves. There's a lot of presence with Ford, I've noticed, walking around. There's the whole stands for the RS Owners Clubs, and then there's a lot of Fords have been heavily modified as we've been walking around some of the older classics, going through to some of the more modern day Focus RSs and Mustangs.
Well, I've got an F2.
We'll see if we can try and find some of the Supercars as we're wandering around here as well. Recording, yeah? Right, we've got a new battery in. We're good. This is one of the new back monos. Lovely track car. I'm not sure how practical they would ever be on a day-to-day basis, but I'm sure if you've got enough money to have a back mono, then you don't have to worry about using it as a normal road car. Obviously, you could drive it to and from a track, but that's going to be about as good as you're going to get. So we've got some very nice cars over here, some nice nobles, some very cool cars indeed. Not very often you see nobles out and out, day-to-day basis. But I think the only times I've ever really seen a noble has been at Autosport. But yeah, very well crafted, lovely cars. I think there's a couple more of them over here as well, actually, of the nobles. But, there's one Focus RS. We'll keep count of how many we see. There's a few of them here. I don't think any of them have been modified in any way. Even the Mountune guys didn't have anything on display for the Focus RS. But yeah, there's a fair few more nobles wandering around through over this sort of way. Richard's lagging behind a little bit. Keep up, Richard. Yeah, so many nobles. This one looks like it's all genuine carbon fibre. Whole car's genuine carbon. That'd be a track beast, but expensive if anything went wrong. Very expensive if anything went wrong. I've spotted a nice Mustang out over this sort of way as well. BMW as well, M5, one of the current generations. They're nice cars. TVR, I've got a guilty pleasure for TVRs. They're a bit of a pain to keep on the road because they're renowned for having things go wrong with them, but they are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I'd love at some point, if I had the time and the patience, to actually own one of those for myself, but I think realistically speaking, kind of fitting more towards what it is that I prefer, I'd rather go for something along the lines of this. I'd much rather have an old school Mustang, and seeing as though I may or may not have dealings to do with actually selling the new ones, I think these are absolutely amazing cars. Obviously the left-hand drive is a bit of a sticking point, but these are absolutely lovely. You can get the rear tail lights to go sequentially across. Obviously big engine, or it might not have as much power as some of the BMW cars, but at the end of the day it's a Mustang. They're absolutely amazing cars. Parked right next to a very nice Porsche and an SLS. Some very nice cars on display here this year. I mean, last year they had a few Lamborghinis here, there, kind of dotted around the place. I haven't seen one, not one the entire time. But these are all the Fords I was on about. There's quite a few of them here. A few of the old Sierra Cosworths. There's some very nice cars. Very nice cars. I think most of these are all Sierras. RS500 Cosworths, yeah. Very lovely. Only going up in value as well. Cosworths. Very desirable car at the moment in the current market. Wow. Obviously last year they had the Le Mans replica car at Autosport, And they've only just started putting these out on actual production in America for the Ford GTs. But these are V6 plus 600 brake horsepower, absolute engineering masterpieces. Obviously part of Ford's EcoBoost engine range. Whether they'll put this into anything else I find very doubtful, of course, but absolutely phenomenal car. Everything about it, from the rear tail lights to the wing mirrors, everything about it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous car. It's nice to actually see one up close and personal in the flesh. Last year they had one kind of stuck away so you couldn't even get anywhere near it. So this is a pre-production model, left-hand drive and all the rest of it, but just the level of detail that they've gone through, just like the wing mirrors for example, the fact that they're stuck on the way that they are, big brakes, and then if you can have a quick look on the inside, to kind of give an idea of the interior. Obviously again this is a pre-production model, but it's kind of give an idea. But the level of detail they've gone through just on the headlights, the fact that they've got the GT badge on the headlights themselves, I'd imagine they'd all be adaptive and have some of Ford's latest technology was all on there, but really truly lovely cars. A very nice McLaren over there as well. If you wanted to get a close up of that one as well from the back, I don't think you'll be able to get around to the front. Oh no, you will. Yeah, you can have a look around that one as well. Nice McLaren here as well. Kind of converted more towards race spec, I think, this one. But again, it's nice to kind of see these cars up close and personal if you are going to be here over the weekend. They're very, very nice cars. And this will make one of my friends very happy. F-Type SVR, supercharged V8 engines, absolute masterpiece of engineering for the day-to-day. You could probably use this as a near enough daily driver, fairly practical in terms of overall space in the boot, comfortable to be sat in, and obviously the fuel consumption wouldn't be great, but if you've got enough money to buy an SVR F-Type, you could probably afford it without having to worry. Very, very, very nice. I'd be jealous of anyone that managed to own one of those. I saw one of them actually, it was only the other day, in a really nice light blue. It's very, very nice. Yes, old GT here as well. I think this one's even for sale for just under £90,000. Old GT40. Funny thing with the whole story of the Ford GT, whether you know or whether you don't. Obviously, if you've watched the Grand Tour over the last couple of weeks, if you've been keeping up with it, they did a segment with the old Ford GTs, the actual Le Mans cars, and went through the history and the heritage of the old GTs, where the whole story as to why Henry Ford even wanted to build that kind of a car. Obviously it was to go up against Ferrari at the end of a dispute. Took a few years and they obviously got there against the Ferrari, winning in a 1-2-3 finish. And we've got the new Honda NSX here as well. A bit different to the old NSX. I've got a whole new styling aspect on it. This particular one, just had a very quick look at the spec sheet. It's got a few options on. Obviously this one's around about the £175,000 mark for this. Obviously it's a V6 hybrid era, bordering on supercar. Depends on the definition that you have, of course. The new hybrid eras, you get so much more torque and power out of a smaller engine than we ever have been able to in the past. If Richards gets a chance to have a turnaround, we've got a California T Ferrari here as well. If he doesn't get too carried away with the NSX. Yeah, it's a very, very lovely car. Another Ferrari, California T. Pardon?
Well, it wasn't confirmed until what's his name ordered it.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Gordon Ramsay, wasn't it? Was it Gordon Ramsay who ordered this? No.
Someone ordered it anyway. It wasn't confirmed until a celebrity actually physically went and ordered one. Again, it's funny to see how far things have come in terms of technology with these cars and the styling aspects to them all as well.
Kind of dodge other Osmos.
Osmo Central.
They're fantastic pieces of kit.
Yeah. Really are. You know, only at a show like this could you have a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Honda NSX, a Ferrari, an Aston Martin, all modern day supercars / hypercars, right nearby some proper old school classic cars. Yeah, only at Autosport could you have Lamborghini
Oh yeah.
next to that. The funny thing is, I think that yellow car there was actually here last year as well. I think
Wherever you
that's
look at it,
the.
it's still a Fiat.
This is true.
Let's go around. Let's actually go around.
I'm pretty sure that car was actually here last year as well. Whether or not it was a car that they were hoping to sell, or whether or not it was a car that is just here on display. I think it is auctionable. Yeah. Given a choice between some of the cars that are here, though, I think it's probably not very high on people's wish list, I suppose. Yeah, right next to it you've got this lovely thing. It's got the badge at the front missing, which is strange. Obviously they're not too expensive to pick up again.
Finish it off.
Cool. Yeah, can do. So, still all going, yeah? So, that's it for this part. We're going to have another wander around, see what else it is that we can find. Go have a bite to eat.
Lights, I can't really see right. Cold eyes to hide what it feels like. They take from me what I need from you. Fast steps to find my way back to your love. We're due for a comeback. I get from them what I give to you. Please take me back to a dream where miles away a place is never seen.
Pick me up. Pick me up. Pick what? Yeah. Cool. So yeah, here we are. Obviously now I'm on camera this afternoon. It's a little bit weird talking when you're kind of got the camera behind you, but hey, so let's go on over, because what we have found is that there is the new Subaru BRZ. Now if you actually quote, I actually slated the BRZ in a video, absolutely hated it, in terms of actually how it looks. But hey, this is the new one, and it definitely looks a lot nicer than the current spec one. So, first off, they kind of, if you can just about hear me on the noise behind, they've actually stepped away from Toyota in terms of copying everything they did. Essentially, they've got now a nicely set of alloy wheels. Same spoiler, actually, I think, on both models, but they've got also the same tail lights as well, which are the new kind of sequential LEDs and LEDs as well, which is all pretty nice. It's still got the stupid replacement of the third brake light, but the BRZ is definitely a step up compared to the new GT86. The new GT86 unfortunately has a stupid front bumper, I think. So I've kind of switched my tune from slating the BRZ to now slating the GT86. But what I do quite like though is the fact they've also now got the integrated DRLs, which people kind of are aftermarket putting in, instead of having them down the bottom. You kind of also got the fog lights as well. I actually think that they look really nice. It's actually a cracking car. We've redeveloped it completely, so it's now got more power. I think actually it's about 204 horsepower or something, and more torque and all that. So let's have a look on here. 200 PS at 7,000 RPM, 0 to 62 in 7.6 seconds with 205 newton meters of torque, 36.2 miles per gallon. You'll never ever get that, especially if you're spending most of your time going sideways. And now an optional Pioneer sat nav, which is really what they needed. The things with it though, it does look nicer. It's really annoying, and it really pains me to say that it looks nicer because, as I mentioned, the GT86 I used to think looked better, and now I'm changing my tune. Not good. Right, so let's try and find a new GT86 because there is one around here, and I need to remember where it is. James, you remember where it is? This way. Let's go and find it. What's also really weird is talking to yourself with a camera behind you. It's really weird. Let's see what we can find. I've also got cables sticking out me everywhere. I feel like I'm literally a walking computer. Cables going out both back pockets. What we got? Where? There's one where they've got the new one and the old one next to each other. So it's somewhere around here. But interesting go-karting there, as James was panning. Go-karting is the kind of thing that would be great. They're great fun. But it's just so expensive to do. Trailers? Anyone want a trailer? No? Alright. It's also going to be really weird because this is going out live and you're going to be watching this live, but it's not going to be live this way. Remember what stand it was on? We'll crop this bit. We'll speed up this bit. Yeah, change tune. What do you think of the new BRZ?
I think it looks quite nice, to be fair. The interior looks like the current GT86. I had a look at the inside. I don't know if you did. It looks exactly the same as your car.
Oh, right.
Which is obviously an improvement on the old BRZ. But the outside, I think, does look probably a bit smarter than the new 86.
Which somewhere. I actually think it was. It was towards the entrance. It was towards the entrance. Okay, it wasn't this way. No, it wasn't this way. Let's stop recording for a moment. It's quite funny, isn't it, how companies employ pretty ladies to sell their products. It definitely works. Right. Let's jump in. Let's see whether we can jump in. Let's see. So we got EBC launching. Obviously, we've done a few things with them. EBC are launching a new set of calipers, which is quite interesting. And I'm going to keep an eye out because I'm going to try and nab Gareth or someone and see whether I can grab them and talk to them about this new caliper set. Pretty interesting. It does look quite nice. Comes in a range of colours: red, blue, yellow, black. And obviously EBC are known for, well, if you see them on my channel a lot, we did a brake test for them. We're actually currently doing a video because they've supplied some stuff for track days, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it's a floating disc system, from what I know, and it's quite a decent price. Recommended retail price of £1,495. Comes with the discs, pads, brake lines, everything. Pretty awesome. I'm going to jump in. Watch this. This will be hilarious. I'm going to jump straight in.
Oh
just
my
test
God,
what?
you're not going to interview us, are you?
Yeah.
Is this live?
Pretty much.
Oh my God.
Pretty much, as close as it can be. This is quite funny. Can you talk to us about your new caliper kit, if possible?
Adam would be the best one.
Adam, and he's gone.
You
He's
just
gone
missed him about 2 minutes ago.
Oh man, that's going to be down to you then.
Are we really doing this live?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
man.
one take. You're one take. You're one take wonder.
Well, lovely new calipers. Actually, fully British made. They're obviously EBC is based in Northampton. The calipers are cast about 15 miles away in Kettering. All the other components are sort of made locally. Piston seals come from Cornwall. Crossover pipes are also made in Northampton. We've engineered the caliper ourselves from the ground up, so it's obviously not somebody else's caliper that's just rebadged as EBC. Yeah, we're pretty proud of what we've done. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Pretty awesome bit of kit. Anything else? So you're planning to launch it later on this year? Not been confirmed yet.
Well, I mean, technically this is the first launch in the UK. We did launch it before at the SEMA show in the US. We had some great feedback there. So this is the first launch in the UK. We're actually having an extension on the Northampton headquarters. So this will house production of the calipers, storage space, etc.
Awesome. Sorry for jumping on you like that, but cheers for that.
Thanks very much.
That's all right. We'll catch up with you later on. Cheers.
I take it you're going to edit that.
You will edit it slightly. We'll take out the jumping on you bit, make it look like we were semi-professional. Okay, so after a lot of searching, we have actually found the new GT86, which, to be fair, to start with, the rear tail lights are the same. They copied those things. This is obviously is a modified version, so it's a little bit hard to completely compare it, seeing as they've switched out the exhaust for a single side race exhaust. But they do have the new GT86 front end on it, which isn't as nice. It's a little bit floaty. Apart from if it didn't have that big little black moustache, which they seem to have taken from the Subaru BRZ, the old one, it would actually look quite nice. But I like the bottom bit, like the waviness to it. But I just don't like that little moustache thing on top. So maybe if we can look to get one of these new bumpers on my car and kind of get rid of that little kind of plastic thick bit in the middle, it might actually look quite nice. But then if you literally just flip around, you can literally see old style GT86, so you can kind of see the differences between them. You've kind of got a slightly more aggressive front end, while that one is still, it kind of follows the same little aggressive 2 points, making you kind of bring your eyes into the centre of the grille. But it's definitely different. Some part of me likes it, some part of me doesn't. But I think we could look in the future to kind of maybe do a front end swap on my GT86 as we go further in. So let's go and find some things to look at. Let's go this way. Let's go and see what we can see. You could have a Vauxhall Adam rally spec if you really wanted to. Take a car that's really uninspiring and make it from something that's a 1 litre economical vehicle and turn it into something that's just ridiculously fun. But it's still a Vauxhall, so uninspiring. Now here's a question for you. You've got Miltech Sport just there with the GT86, but you've also got Miltech Sport just there with their Focus RS new one. So that's number 3 Focus RS we've seen? 4. And again, it's just interesting. You can see the exhaust kind of tips here, kind of the way it's all hidden behind the plastic. It's just a shame, isn't it, that Miltech welds don't hold up and that they've been selected on the forums at the moment. Because they're Chinese welded instead of TIG. And they're just really horrible. Well, see, obviously, you look at the welds on the ones they've got on show, they're obviously going to look good. But when you actually receive them, the welds are terrible. What else we got? What else we got? What else we got? Brake calipers. If anyone's interested in getting some brake calipers. The interesting thing is whether these are also made in the UK or whether in actual fact they're just rebranded. Who knows? Who knows? Quaif diffs. We've got some sequential gearboxes as well. Want some extreme. Maybe in the Clio, we could look to maybe put a sequential gearbox in for complete race spec. No? Alright, let's keep going. Let's go into busy area. What do we got? I'll tell you what. Well, actually, what we have just completely walked past is the Bugatti Veyron Oakley Edition, which I don't really know how much you can see of it from here. We'll definitely have to come look at that on the way back through. But that is a crazy car. That's a car that's just worth ridiculous money, and someone's thrown even more money at it. That's good money. It's quite nice, isn't it? People that can just go out and buy a Bugatti Veyron and then go and modify it. Right. Tell you what we'll do. We will try and see whether we can find Ecutech, and we'll spring on them and get to chat about their new Bluetooth dongle, which is pretty cool. It takes over from kind of, the only thing you can't do on it is remap your vehicle, but you can change traction control settings, you can map switch, you can do everything like that, and it's just pretty cool. 4GT, matte wrapped. Goodrich, which is EBC's kind of partner company, I think. I'm not sure how the relationship is, but they are kind of similar to each other. Hence why the brake lines look very similar. Goodrich will probably tell me off for that. Okay, let's keep going through. Super impressive rally spec, advertising performance air intakes, the carburetors. What we got? Valve spring retainers. Valve spring retainers. You really got to know what you're doing if you're going to kind of change those. Brakes. What else we got? Engine things. Let's go down to Brembo. Let's have a look at Brembo things. Brembo's always nice to have a look at. We could also maybe put an edit together of just people like gawping at the Osmo. Like, what the hell is that? What is it? Brembo, they look always pretty fancy to look at Brembos. Like just 6-piston GT calipers, 390mm racing pads. Ridiculous. Wow. Again, people with just a ridiculous amount of money. Let's go jumping down. Let's see if we can grab. Let's see if we can grab him. This could be rather funny. Let's go talk to someone. What else we've got? We've got tuned GT86, brand new GT86 company. They are a kind of like a new, I think they're like a garage generally. If you want any aftermarket parts fit into your GT86, you can essentially take it to them. They'll do wheels, body kits, I think. But there's been a lot about them on the GT86 owners clubs, which is pretty fancy. Let's jump on, let's see if we can. Alright, yeah, right. I wonder if I can have a quick chat with you about GT86 because I've got a GT86 myself.
Oh, have you? Right, brilliant.
And it's currently, what we do is we actually film a load of series on trying to change parts on it and everything.
Right.
It's literally really at the basic stage at the moment, so we've got a few parts to fit. I wonder whether you talk about, because I've seen you all over the forums, and the Facebook page, people talking about you. And so seeing you here, it'd be quite cool to be able to, if we can, have a chat,
of course,
put it on camera, and we'll put it on share out for you.
Yeah,
Cool.
brilliant.
Is there any chance you can say, what is Tuned then, essentially?
So Tuned, so we're a new performance company, basically. We set up over in November, opened the doors beginning of December, catering, specialising mainly in the GT86 and BRZs. Obviously we deal with all Jap cars and all European cars as well. But this is obviously what we're focusing on with our little poster boy over here. I mean, we do all sorts. We do the supply and fit or supply only of superchargers, turbochargers, wheels, exhaust systems, tyres, you name it. You know, we do it. You know, cosmetic parts. So obviously it's a tough crowd, but it's a passion of ours, and what we're trying to aim for is just brilliant customer service, really. So and support, being really supportive of other people's builds. So Yeah, one of those.
Awesome. So essentially, then, one of the questions is, what is the best turbo kit then to put on a GT86 without ripping the bottom end off it?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, it's completely what you want. I mean, there's all sorts out there at the moment. You've got the stuff that's sold worldwide, like the Evo turbo system, which is on this. You've got stuff that's been developed by Tuning Developments over in Warrington. Their turbo system, which is brilliant, and that's becoming quite popular as well. Obviously, superchargers. You've got the Cosworth, which we supply as well. But for the turbos, there's so many different types out there. It's completely what you want. I mean, the Evo system's brilliant. It's more expensive than some of the other options. It's bolted to the underside of the car, and basically, essentially, manifold turbo systems. The kit's all in one. Bolted underneath. You keep a low centre of gravity. You're getting 323 brake horsepower now, and it is it's quick. It's good. It's scary enough to make you kind of smile and wee yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. But obviously you'd have to go up a stage to stage 3, and if you want more power, you'd have to go to stage 4, stage 5. So it can work out extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas certain other ones, then like the tuning development on bigger turbo, you can turn that up to whatever you want. Obviously, don't do that without any supporting. You've got to obviously forge out your engine.
Yeah.
But it's however far you want to take it, really. So there's loads of options.
Bright lights, I can't really see right. Cold eyes to hide what it feels like. They take from me what I need from you. Fast steps to find my way back to your love. We're due for a comeback. I get from them what I give to you. Please take me back to a dream where miles away, a place is never seen. Show me the wonders above, 'cause I don't need your favor, just your love. Please take me back to, please take me back to, please take me back to where my heart was on fire. Back to, just take me back to, just take me back to where my heart was on fire.